Working with rational exponents takes a little bit of practice, so stick around. Let's practice. Welcome to Math Bytes. I'm Allison, and today we're working with rational exponents. Let's look at our first example. Simplify 32 to the power of negative 3 over 5. Okay, the first thing I'd like to do here is make that negative exponent a positive exponent. And I do that by taking the reciprocal of what I'm raising to my exponent. So 32 to the power of negative 3 over 5 is equal to 1 over 32 to the power of 3 over 5. Now, I can either deal with the number in the numerator of my exponent first or the number in the denominator first, whichever one I want. I'm going to do the denominator first. So 1 over 32 to the power of 3 over 5 is the same as 1 over 32 to the power of 1/5 and that whole quantity cubed. Now don't forget, when I'm raising to the power of 1/5, I'm taking the fifth root. So that's the same as the fifth root of 1 over the fifth root of 32 and that whole quantity cubed. Now, the fifth root of 1 is just 1. 1 multiplied by itself 5 times is 1. The number that I multiply by itself 5 times to get 32 is 2. So this becomes 1 over 2 and that whole quantity cubed. Now, 1 cubed is 1, 2 cubed is 8, so 1/2 cubed is 1/8. So this simplifies to 1 over 8. Okay, let's take a look at our next example. We have x to the power of 3 over 2 equals 27. Now I'm going to rewrite this as x to the power of 1/2 and that whole quantity cubed equals 27. Okay, to get rid of that 3 in the exponent, I'm going to raise both sides of this equation to the power of 1/3. So I get x to the power of 1/2 cubed and that whole quantity raised to the power of 1/3 equals 27 to the power of 1/3. Okay, on the left, I have a power of 3 raised to a power of 1/3, so I multiply those exponents together. 3 times 1/3 just gives me 1. So that leaves me with x to the power of 1/2. And on the right, I have 27 raised to the power of 1/3. That's the cube root of 27. The number that multiplied by itself 3 times gives you 27 is 3. So I'm left with x to the power of 1/2 equals 3. Now, to get rid of that power of the 1/2, on my x there, I'm going to square both sides of this equation. So I get x to the power of 1/2 squared equals 3 squared. Again, on the left, 1/2 times 2 gives me 1, so that just leaves me with x. And on the right, I have 3 squared, which is 9. So x equals 9. Now, all we're using here is one of our properties of exponents that says when you raise one exponent to another, you multiply them together. So we're using this to effectively cancel out our rational number exponent and arrive at our answer. Okay, let's take a look at our last example. We have x to the power of 4 over 3 equals 16. Now, in our last couple of examples, I have dealt with that part of the exponent that's in the numerator first. This time I'm going to deal with the part that's in the denominator first, just to do it a little differently. So I'm going to rewrite this as x to the power of 4, and that whole quantity is raised to the power of 1/3, and that equals 16. Okay, so again, to get rid of that 1/3 in my exponent, I'm going to cube both sides of this equation. So I get x to the power of 4 raised to the power of 1/3, and that whole quantity cubed is equal to 16 cubed. Okay, on the left, I have a power of 1/3 times a power of 3. That just gives me 1 and leaves me with x to the power of 4. And 16 cubed is 4,096. You can always use a calculator if you're not sure about those things. It's fine. Okay, so now we have x to the power of 4 equals 4,096. So to deal with my power of 4, I'm going to raise everything to the power of 1/4. So I get x to the power of 4 raised to the power of 1/4 equals 4,096 raised to the power of 1/4. And remember, that is just taking the fourth root of 4,096. So we're looking for the number that when you multiply it by itself 4 times, you get 4,096. Well, that number is 8. It's also -8. Anytime you take an even root, a square root, a fourth root, a sixth root, an eighth root, etc., you have to take into account the plus and the minus. And this is one of those situations. If you multiply -8 by itself 4 times, you also get positive 4,096. So remember, anytime you take an even numbered root, to take into account the positive and the negative answer. Working with rational number exponents takes care and practice. So take your time on problems like these so you don't make a little mistake. That's it for this episode of Math Bytes. If you like our videos, please subscribe to our channel. And if you have a question you'd like to ask us or a problem you'd like to see solved, just send us an email. We're at contactmathbytes@gmail.com, and we'll see you next time.